Hi guys, welcome back to Enough is Enough. XR Troika here, and today we're going to be talking about the Operation White Noise mid-season reinforcement. These are the patch notes for 4.2. Link to the patch notes will be in the description down below. One of the first things that I think is going to be on a lot of people's mind is what are they going to do with Ela and what is her nerf going to be. So we're going to jump straight into that one first. And what they're going to do is they're going to reduce the size of the magazine in the Scorpion, taking it from 50 bullets down to 40. Now, I know that a lot of you are going to be happy about the Ela nerf, and I think that it is a good thing for the game. She's obviously too overpowered at the moment. 50 rounds in the magazine with that weapon is far too many. There are other weapons in the game that have got 50 bullets in them, but they're just not quite as good as the Scorpion. The Scorpion outperforms them in almost every way. It's got a great damage, it's got a high rate of fire, and I think that bringing it back down to 40 will mean that you're going to have to be a little bit more conservative with your ammunition, plan your reloads a little bit better, and you're not just going to be able to keep engaging enemies. So a really positive change for Ela's SMG there. They've said it themselves in the patch notes that they really want Ela to be the kind of defender that can engage multiple enemies at the same time. However, the 50 round magazine just was a little bit too much for that. Bringing it back down to 40, I think she's still going to be able to do that. A great positive change for Ela there. In addition to reducing the magazine size, they're also going to reduce the concussive effects on the Grizz mine. This is going to affect both Ela and Zafir. Now, this for me, I think this is a bigger change than the magazine size. You're actually now going to be able to sprint through a Grizz mine effect. So whereas at the minute it takes 7 seconds for movement speed and camera rotation speed to return back to normal, they're going to reduce that down to 4. So they're almost going to half that. The effect on sight and hearing will still last to 7 seconds. Obviously, sight's very important. Hearing is a massive part of this game, as we've mentioned before on the channel. So 2 big changes there. And to be honest, I think Ela's still going to be picked after this. Partly because people are going to be curious to see how they can play her and if she still plays the same way that she used to. And partly because people just like her as an operator. She's a slayer, she's a 3-speed. She's still got a great gun, despite them taking 10 bullets away from you. I don't think you actually get a lot of kills with that last 10 bullets. It's just handy to have if you need it. So the next one's come out of nowhere for me, really. I didn't really anticipate this at all. Ash's R4C nerf. They're going to be reducing the damage on the R4C up close. I'm going to put the stat chart on the screen now so you can have a visual representation of what I'm talking about. In the game designer's notes on the patch, it explains that, in their opinion, Ash's pick rate is far too high and she's too attractive when compared to other attackers. Most popular weapon is the R4C. Obviously the G3060 is another option, it's a good gun. I find the recoil just to be a little bit higher on that than the R4C, that's why I use the R4C. And they're saying that with her rate of fire being at 860, which is admittedly quite high, the damage, in their opinion, is a little bit too high. I play Ash quite a lot. On the face of it, the first thing that springs to mind is they may be targeting the Ash rush a little bit. They're not affecting the long distance damage range on normal at all. That's remaining exactly the same. That's still going to be 4 shots to kill at 35 meters. So at the minute that's the most viable option that I've got for it. Moving on to Captiao's Para 308 buff. This is going to be the first buff of these patch notes. So they're going to increase the damage to 48 from 43, and they are slightly reducing the intensity of the random recoil component. So I played around with playing Captiao a couple of months ago. I really liked the operator. I quite like the gadget. I think it still has some quirks and some things that could do with ironing out. However, he's a very useful operator for bomb, and that's what I was playing at the time, so that's why I started to pick him a little bit. But the thing that I really couldn't get on with was the random recoil components of the gun. I ended up going into a custom game, shooting the wall, and I couldn't really get 2 recoil patterns to line up the same. I wasn't accurate enough with his weapon, but it's something that I'm definitely going to look at again now. So we can see on the screen we've got the damage chart for this. So at the minute, the reason for doing this is Captiao isn't attractive enough, and his gadget suffers from some issues that will need long-term solution. So basically what they're saying there is that at the minute they're admitting that his gadget isn't all that, and that there's still some things that they're not happy with and they want to make it better, so they're going to give him a better gun for the time being. I think that's fairly fair. I certainly wouldn't expect this to be a long-term thing. I think when they eventually get around to fixing the gadget to the way that they envision it and the way that they want it to play, I think that the gun will probably get nerfed a little bit and just brought back in line with other assault rifles in the game. At the minute though, I think that Captiao being a 3-speed is going to be quite a good operator to play. You've basically got a 2-shot down up to 25 meters, which is most engagements inside a building on this game. So I think when this patch drops, you're going to certainly see an increase in Captiao's pick rate. So moving on to the Twitch nerf. This isn't something that we anticipated at all. And what they've done here is they've reduced the max ammo for each shock drone. So you're still going to get 2 shock drones, but they've reduced the max ammo from 15 down to 5. Now this seems quite severe to me on the face of it, but I've got a couple of opinions about it and I'm going to talk through them now. First, I'm just going to read the game designer's notes on it quickly. Twitch, in their opinion, is too strong. Several reasons why. Personally, I'm going to interject here and say that she's got a great gun. That's going to be one of the reasons why she's quite high. However, a gadget is high risk, high reward. So within the first 10 seconds of the round, realistically, you could be without any shock drones. So her having a slightly better weapon, I don't think it unbalances at all. And obviously they're of the same opinion because they're actually affecting the shock drone in this. They're not touching the F2 at all. Back to the game designer's notes. They believe at the minute she's able to potentially deny an unreasonable amount of electronics from the defenders. And we feel that this change will force players to start making choices about whether to shoot or save their ammo and which defender gadgets to destroy. This has come at an interesting time because obviously White Noise saw the release of Dockerby. Dockerby being an operator that can hack defender cameras. So there are some cases now where Twitch hasn't got as much focus on defender cameras because it may be beneficial to leave them up so that if Dockerby does manage to get an opportunity to hack the cameras, she can hack them and the attackers can gain that little bit more information. I think a more realistic reason for this nerf could be the fact that Twitch is actually able to take out 300 points of damage from the defending team. Currently, she's got 2 shock drones, both with 15 damage each. As we know, a dart from a shock drone delivers 10 damage. I mean, obviously, it'd never happen. There is potential there for her to deal 300 points of damage, which is a hell of a lot. It's over half of a team gone. This rarely happens, and, you know, it's a bit more of a trolling thing to sort of shoot people with your shock drone. It's a bit more of a distraction. It can be used in later stages of the round if you've got a numbers advantage and you're wanting to push someone. You can kind of distract them with a shock drone and then send another attacker in to get the kill. So now Twitch users are going to have to start making conscious decisions as to whether to use their shock drones for cameras and electronics or whether to annoy the enemy. Personally, I think that you should forget about shooting the enemy. It's not going to be an option anymore with only 5 shocks per drone. You're going to want to focus on mirror windows. You're going to want to focus on, you know, getting bandits off and stuff like that. But you're also going to want to make sure that you've got the right operators in your team. And maybe Twitch now isn't going to be as viable as she once was. Twitch now may be going to be limited more to objectives and sites where you know they're going to be taking a mirror. Because as we know, Twitch is the only operator with a gadget that can actually affect a mirror in that way and shoot it out. So this maybe give it a little bit of an indirect to anyone with a breaching charge or maybe a sledge or a book player who's actually able to get above and get rid of bandit charges that way. And I think you're just going to have to work a little bit more as a team and maybe, you know, go in with your Twitch drone and take out the ADS devices and the mirrors and then leave players like book and sledge and hard breachers to actually get rid of bandits and mute jammers from above by breaking floors out, or rely on Thatcher a little bit more and have Thatchers for, you know, getting rid of bandits and mutes and stuff like that, and then leave Twitch to get rid of the things that she's going to be good at. So it's just going to require a little bit more thought when playing the operator. I don't really think it's all too much of a bad thing. Personally, I wouldn't have gone all the way down to 5. I'd have maybe hit like 7 or 8. I think that's maybe a nicer number. There is a lot of potential at the minute for defenders to have a lot of electronics. It's not unreasonable to expect to come up against a Jaeger, an Ella, a Bandit, a Capcan and a Lesion all on the same team. So if you've only got 10 shocks in your shock drone, and as we know, you lose your shock drone super quickly if you're not careful enough with them. Is it balanced? Maybe I'd have given her a few more. Interesting change nonetheless. I'd be really interested to see this one in the comments. If you've got any opinions on it, please leave them down below. We do love reading your comments and we try to reply to every single one. And the next one in the list is going to be Bandit's barbed wire. Bandit will now have 2 barbed wire down from 3. As you know, at the minute, Bandit is the only defending operator that can take 3 barbed wire. This could be another acknowledgement from Ubisoft of how powerful barbed wire can actually be. A couple of patches ago, it actually got a nerf, whereas now it only takes 2 hits to destroy it. It used to take 3. And they actually increased the movement speed through it as well, if I'm not mistaken. So Bandit's ability with the batteries interacts with the barbed wire, making it shock wire. This is really handy to destroy drones. And now it's super easy to use a Bandit to kind of clear out all the drones before the rounds even started. If you place your barbed wire with your batteries on it in the right sort of places, you can pick up 2, 3, 4 drones easily per round just in the prep phase alone, and then move your batteries onto the reinforced walls that you want to try and hold and defend. For me, 3 barbed wire is something that no operator really should have. This may impact his pick rate a little bit more than you'd think, and this patch is really ringing true as to try and break those pick rates down and force players to play different operators, which is good for the longevity of the game, because if you keep playing the same operator all the time, you get a little bit bored. And often I find if I'm in a bit of a rut or I can't get kills. If I just pick an operator that I've never really played before, I tend to start taking it a little bit more seriously because I'm learning again and I'm doing things that I've not done. So I think that playing different operators is really good for your own personal development in this game as well. And lastly, we're going to be moving on to Legion's goo mine refill timer. This is quite an interesting one. They're actually reducing the time it takes for the goo mines to refill. So currently it's at 35 seconds. They're going to bring this down to 30. Nice little buff for Legion this. Legion's in a good place. Legion's got a great weapon. His SMG is probably top 5 defender weapon in the game. But by reducing the refill timer, it's going to encourage his specific playstyle of staying alive as long as possible to increase the strength of his defensive gadget. Obviously, the more of the goo mines you have, the better. Legion's the operator that you want to be kind of anchoring in the OBJ and staying alive till the last minute. But this change is going to mean that he reaches his end game, so he reaches 7 goo mines nearly a minute faster than he would normally, which is massive in the game because it means that you're going to be able to place them in better locations. Obviously, the further into the round you go and the later it gets, the further the attackers are going to be in the building, in the site. So you're going to be able to put the goo mines in better places earlier on for attackers to walk into them. I think it'll increase the effectiveness of them a lot. I think people will get caught in them a little bit more. That's going to be everything from today, guys. This is the first news kind of video that we've done, so please leave a comment below if you've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making it. I love talking about Siege, so it's been a joy for me to make. If you've not already, please hit subscribe. If you did like this video, hit like. Leave a comment down below and give us a little bit of feedback and tell us what you think of this video. As I said at the start, there's a couple of other things that they're going to be fixing in the game. I'm not going to discuss those with you now because I don't think I'm not going to go through those with you now. I think this video has gone on for probably long enough. So the link, like I said, will be in the description below. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.